Hola a todos, hi, and welcome everyone to Speech Trouble Languages Language Clinic with me, Louise, from Speech Trouble Languages HQ. As you can see from our screen, today we are going to focus on the perfect tense in Spanish. This is a super short, sharp video just to get you used to the conjugation of this rather unusual little tense in Spanish. So before we start to look at how we form the perfect tense, I would like you to have a little think about where he belongs on what we call our chronogramma, our timeline. As you can see here on the screen, we've got a chronogramma laying out all of the core tenses that if you're in a class with us right now, you will have met all of these over the course of your learning so far. The perfect tense is one of our past tenses in Spanish. So he's going to sit in behind the present point on our timeline. The perfect tense is just around about this point here. It helps us talk about something that has happened before this present moment in time. And he looks a little bit like that at the bottom there. Shall we take a little look in more detail? So the perfect tense describes what somebody has done or what has happened. We've used it in a class today to talk about what we have bought online, for example. We form this tense by taking the appropriate form in the present tense of the little annoying verb called haber, plus we then join it with the past participle of the verb that you are talking about that's happened or something that has been done, yeah? So it's a lot of fancy vocab for something that personally I find quite straightforward. Let's take a look. So there are two little bits of jigsaws here that you need to stick together to help us form the perfect tense. The first part, as I said to you, was haber, this weird verb in Spanish. What does he look like in the present? Has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. If you want, you can consider this as the Spanish equivalent of us saying, I have, he has, it had, we have, you have, they have. But what is it that you have done? So we take now the verb for the thing that you've done and you form them as follows. For an AR group of verbs, you drop your AR and you add ado. I have spoken. He hablado. You have spoken. Has hablado. For ER verb, you drop the ER and add ido onto the end of the verb. We have eaten. Hemos comido. Have you all eaten? ¿Habéis comido? IR verbs are going to do the same pattern as an ER. Drop the IR off and add ido once again. He has lived here. Ha vivido aquí. We have lived in Spain. Hemos vivido en España. So, perfect tense, we need has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. And with our AR verbs, I want to hear an ado, like hablado. And with ER and IR, we give an ido sound, comido and vivido. Now, as always, we're going to have some verbs that don't follow that pattern. And in fact, some of our most commonly used verbs in Spanish are irregular here too. And there's no other way around this other than trying to memorize them and learn them individually. So some of these verbs are listed below, and you can see what their past participle looks like. Abierto, cubierto, dicho, descubierto, escrito, muerto, hecho, puesto, roto, visto, and vuelto. So hit the pause button here. I'm asking you to try to see if you can still figure out what infinitive each of those past participles come from. What's the English meaning of that infinitive? And what would be the English meaning of it in its past participle format? For example, abierto is number one. I hope you spotted that he comes from the verb abrir, which means to open. What would we say in English? I have opened. Can you tell what the rest of those verbs are? Hit pause and work your way through that little table. Okay, let's take a look at them, shall we? Cubierto, there's the verb cubrir, to cover. He cubierto, I have covered. Dicho, decir, meaning to say. He's often a bit of a irregular verb in other tenses. He dicho, I have said. Descubierto, we find the verb discover, descubrir. Look at cover and discover how close they are in English and Spanish. He descubierto, I have discovered. Escrito, did you figure out his infinitive? It's the verb escribir, to write. Hemos escrito, we have written. Muerto, it is indeed the verb morir, meaning to die. We might recognize that word muerto from Dia de los Muertos. I have died. He muerto. Hecho. Hecho is the verb from hacer, meaning to do or to make. So we would say he hecho, I did. Or he hecho, meaning I've made. Puesto comes from the verb poner, to put, giving us put also in the past participle format in English. Roto, the verb romper. Ay, he roto la ventana. I've broken the window. Visto is the verb ver, to see. Now, I know we know visto as well as the verb vestirse, but it's not the one you're after. To see, seen. And finally, volver, to return. Vuelto, returned. So to sum up the perfect tense, it allows us to talk about what we have done or something that has happened just before we've reached this present point in our timeline. We use haber, he, has, ha, hemos, habéis, han. And for our regular verbs, side by side, there are some examples of the irregulars, and then our ado and idos for our lovely regular verb groups too. As I said, this is a very quick, short, sharp introduction to the perfect tense. I hope you find it useful today. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, get in touch with myself or your class teacher. We're here to help you every step of the way in your Spanish language learning journey. Hasta la próxima, todos. Until next time, everyone. Muchas gracias y adiós.